What's up, guys? John Sonmez from simpleprogrammer.com, and today I want to talk about why you're stuck at $120,000 a year, right? Or whatever salary it is, so somewhere in this low to mid six-figure salary, and why there's developers that are making twice as much as you. I've talked to quite a few developers in the last week that are in the $400,000 to $500,000 a year range, okay? And I've been working with developers for the last 15 years, really, and doing one-on-one coaching for the last 12 years, and I can tell you precisely what allowed these developers that are making a lot more money to make that kind of money. Okay, and it's probably not what you think, right? The biggest thing of all of the things is that these developers usually have some kind of persona. They have some kind of personal brand. They've got a YouTube channel. They've got side projects that they've been building, right? Maybe they have a blog that they've been writing on, right? They're posting on LinkedIn. Maybe they've self-published a book, right? They're speaking at conferences, right? And so what you have to understand is that if no one knows who you are, then you're not going to get these kind of crazy opportunities, right? Yes, you can apply for jobs. Yes, you can apply for positions that are paying a lot more in the $200,000 to $300,000 range, but there's a lot of competition the higher you go up. And the big problem is that a lot of those positions, they're not even ever advertised, right? So you're going to find plenty of jobs in the six-figure to mid six-figure range, maybe even up to $200,000. But are you really finding jobs that it says on the job description the salary is $300,000 to $400,000? Do you see that very often? I don't see that very often. Okay, the reality is that many of those positions are sort of by invite only. What does that mean? That means that someone actually goes and headhunts a person to fill that job. So they're specifically looking to fill that job, and they're contacting developers who they feel would be good fits for that role, right? So you can't even really apply for that. Or it's positions that the developer is coming up in the company, and it's an internal role that is being filled, right? Or it comes in through word of mouth, right? A referral. Someone says, oh yeah, I know this guy, and I watch his YouTube channel, or I read his blog. Let's hire this guy. That's typically how these positions get filled. Okay. And so the other thing to understand about this, right, especially if you're looking at a staff engineer position, right, because I've talked to a lot of developers at Microsoft and Google and, Facebook, Meta, I guess at this point, Amazon, all of these places. And I can tell you that one of the most important things that you'll find in these job descriptions for staff engineer is that you have an impact outside your organization, right? So usually for senior level positions, right, if you read the job description, right, I'm not making this up. You can look at it up. You can look it up. Mostly for senior level positions, it'll say that something in the scope of has an impact inside the organization, right? There'll be some requirements of technical skills, shows mastery of this, blah, 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 can create whatever on their own. But one of the key things it'll say is that they have an influence inside their organization, right? So people know who they are inside the company. But when you get up to staff engineer position, right, this is where you're hitting these $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, maybe even more roles. What does it say? Almost always it says it has an impact outside the organization. What does that mean? It means you have a brand. It means that people know who you are. It means that you're a thought leader in the space. How do you become a thought leader in the space? Well, you do the really scary thing of putting yourself out there. You create a YouTube channel, you publish a book, you make a podcast, or you get on other people's podcasts, right? These things are scary. They're difficult things to do, but they're totally doable. It's really building out your personal brand. Now, like I said, I think this is the solution. If you're stuck at this 120K around that salary, you want to get up to the next level. I've helped a lot of developers do this. I've done this with one-on-one coaching and helped developers go from $120,000 up to $400,000 or $500,000 in their career. I've helped developers make $1 million a year building their own consulting businesses from their reputation and brand. If you want some help doing this, click the link down below. I've started something I'm calling Rockstar Developer University, where I teach you how to build a personal brand. That's what I've been doing for the last 12 years and helping developers do that. I've done that my entire career. And if you want to really take your career to the next level, this is the most important thing that you can do is to build your brand. So click the link down below, check it out, and we'll talk soon.